Hi, just no quick one. Loaded questions. What they are and how to counter them. A loaded question is a question that contains an unverified assumption that the individual being asked the question might disagree with. This type of question puts the individual who is being questioned in a disadvantageous position, since the assumption in the question could reflect badly on them, or make them feel forced to pick an answer which they would not pick otherwise. This rhetoric technique is frequently used in arguments and debates. Not that what we're looking at now, the rhetorical device loaded term flat earth. It's not a debate. Objective reality is not up for debate. There's only one objective reality. People who are doing these debates are just pushing a false dichotomy of us versus them. It's not that at all. So it's important to understand it, just in case. In the following article, you will learn more about loaded questions, understand why they are fallacious, and see what you can do in order to counter them successfully. What is a loaded question? A loaded question is a trick question which presupposes some unverified piece of information that the individual being questioned might disagree with. Essentially, this kind of question contains an entrapment which is used in order to attack the individual who is being asked the question, and which compromises their ability to reply in the way that they would normally prefer. Consider the following classic but crass example of a loaded question. Have you stopped beating your wife? This question is considered to be a loaded question due to its presupposition, which is the implicit background assumption that this question contains, and specifically the assumption that the individual who is being questioned has been beating his wife. Thus, even though this sentence is phrased as a question, it also contains an implicit statement about the individual being asked a question. In this case, the loaded question pushes the respondent to give a yes or no answer. However, regardless of which of these options the respondent chooses, they will appear to agree with the question underlying presupposition. If the respondent says yes, then he appears to confirm that he has beaten his wife in the past, but has since stopped. If the respondent says no, then he appears to confirm that he has beaten his wife in the past and is still doing so in the present. Essentially, even if the respondent has never engaged in such a behaviour, his intuition will often cause him to reply either yes or no, which appears to implicate him as a wife beater. Both these replies can be intuitive because this is a type of answer that usually applies to this type of question, and because both answers can make sense if he never beat his wife in the first place. Someone might intuitively reply yes if he's trying to convey the fact that he is not beating his wife, or no if he's trying to convey the fact that he has never beaten her in the first place. As such, loaded questions represent a type of informal logical fallacy, since there is an issue with the premise of such questions, and specifically with the information that they presuppose. This information manifests in the form of an implicit assumption, which is integrated into question, in a way that prompts the individual being questioned to reply in a way that doesn't allow them to contradict that assumption. This rhetoric technique plays a role in various scenarios, both in the personal as well as in the political landscape. For example, in gotcha journalism, loaded questions are frequently used by reporters in order to interview people in a way that causes them to unintentionally make negative statements that are damaging to their reputation or credibility. That's done on purpose, I think, especially by the media. It's to push agendas and stuff like that. People that they don't want around no more, you know what I mean? They want to make them look bad or stuff like that, you know what I mean? People that are going against people, against the mainstream and that. Note the use of loaded questions, because people are snowflakes, you know what I mean? They fall for this shit. Note the use of loaded questions is referred to by various names, including the loaded question fallacy, the complex question fallacy, the fallacy of many questions, the fallacy of presupposition, and plurium interrogationum. Examples of loaded questions. Right, some of these here, they're not necessarily my opinions or anything like that. I'm just reading what's on this webpage. Below are various examples of different types of loaded questions, all of which presuppose something that the respondent might disagree with. Do you actually support that lazy president of ours? This question presupposes the fact that the president is lazy. Accordingly, if the respondent supports the president and replies yes, then their answer will inadvertently suggest that they think the president is lazy. Do you think that we should convict this criminal? This question presupposes that the fact that the individual being discussed as a criminal is a criminal. Accordingly, if the respondent believes, there's that word believes again. You shouldn't be believing anything. You should get a knowing, not belief. That individual is innocent and replies no in order to show that they don't think a conviction is necessary, then their answer will inadvertently suggest that they believe that individual is a criminal. Are you one of those hateful people that doesn't believe in creationism? This question is framed so that if the respondent doesn't believe in creationism and replies yes in order to show that, then their answer will inadvertently suggest that they believe themselves to be hateful. Have you accepted the fact that most environmental studies don't support global warming? This question presupposes the fact that most environmental studies don't support global warming. If the respondent says no because they know that it is wrong, then their answer inadvertently suggests that they agree with this presupposition, meaning that they believe that most studies don't support global warming. I think global warming, it happens, I think, it's not man-made. I think it's just a natural occurrence that happens every so often. It's happened before in the past, it'll happen, it's happening now, and it'll happen again in the future. Are you saying that you support the new bill just to annoy me, or are you seriously stupid enough to believe in it? See, there's this word believe and believing stuff all the time, constantly. You need to get rid of this word out of your vocabulary. This question is framed in a way, and it's politics anyway. Doesn't matter what you fucking do. It's a selection, not an election, and they do what they want to fucking do to push their agendas. You know what to do with it, the great unwashed. This question is framed in a way that prompts the respondent to disagree with one of the two clauses in the statement, most commonly the second one, which inadvertently suggests that they agree with the other clause. In this case, if the respondent says no in order to show that they disagree with the idea that they support the bill because they are stupid enough to believe in it, then their answer implies that they support the bill just to annoy the other individual. Are you naive enough to believe the mainstream media, or you just not care about finding out the truth? Yeah, I think you'd have to be naive to believe anything the mainstream media tell you, because it's the propaganda arm of governments. Or do you just not care about finding the truth? I care about finding the truth, alright. This question is similar to the previous one since it is framed in a way that prompts the respondent to disagree with one clause in particular, which leads to the implicit suggestion that they agree with the other clause despite the fact that an agreement with either clause reflects badly on them. If you ask me that, I'd just say, no, number one, I don't have beliefs. I'm eradicating my beliefs. Number two, mainstream media is a propaganda arm of the governments and the so-called powers that should not be. And yes, I do care about finding the truth. Care about finding the truth and knowledge, getting a knowing, instead of just taking people's word for things, which you shouldn't do. You should stand on your own 2 feet. Find out for yourself. And if you don't know, just say, look, I don't know. Nothing wrong with saying I don't know. Can you meet to discuss this tomorrow, or are you too busy slacking off? This question also uses a double clause technique we saw above. In this case, the loaded question is used in order to pressure the other individual into accepting a certain proposal. Because if they simply say no without expanding on their answer, then they appear to inadvertently confirm the alternative explanation for their refusal, which is generally framed as negative. Note that the examples that we saw so far, that we have seen so far, mostly prompt the respondent to give a yes or no answer. However, loaded questions don't necessarily have to fit this format. Consider the following example. When did you stop stealing from your partner? Similarly to the loaded questions which prompts a yes or no answer, this type of question presupposes something that the respondent might disagree with. In this case, the fact that he has stole from his partner. However, such loaded questions are less common because it's less intuitive to answer them in a way that incriminates yourself. since the answers they prompt are more open-ended. Another example of a loaded question is the following. Why is X much better than Y? This question presupposes the fact that X is better than Y in an implicit manner, which makes it difficult for the respondent to disagree with. Why do you hate X? This open-ended question presupposes the fact that the individual being asked the question hates X. As in the previous examples, while the respondent is technically free to reject this premise, the format of the question prompts them to answer it in a way that confirms it, even if this isn't what they would normally choose to do. How to counter a loaded question. I'll do that in the next video. Okay, thank you, bye.